the grid. Guys, I cannot hear Xavier Huxtable's name without thinking of some old-timey Southern Mark Twain character, you know, like, and just in time for crawdad season comes Xavier Huxtable's gentleman caller, coming down to meet old Miss Annabelle. Yes, he did. Like, Xavier Huxtable. It's a cool name. It's also a gentleman caller.
I mean, you thought he was going to go Cliff Huxtable.
I thought he was going straight Cosby Show. I like this so much better because Xavier Huxtable doesn't really fit with the Cosbys. Let's just be quite frank up front. But he would fit perfectly in the genteel South.
I agree. I like it. He was really in danger with the name Huxtable being rebranded or being branded as, you know, the Bill Cosby Association. Yeah. So I love this hard pivot away, and let's focus on Miss Annabelle.
I feel that Gentleman Collar would be a fantastic surf brand, or at least a board model.
Gentleman Collared is not referenced nearly enough.
No, I think you and I should do a grit line of some Gentleman Collar t-shirts.
Man, we give out our best ideas. We should, you know what? Let's edit this out.
Yeah.
Let's keep this one for ourselves.
Let's do it.
Look, I mean, now's the season to use Gentleman Collar. It is Valentine's Day tomorrow. And so either reference yourself as this, include it as your sign off in your Valentine card, something, but let's bring it back.
Gentleman Collar. I'm glad. How many of dear listeners do you think are, right now, Valentine's Day?
If they are, I take the blame because we usually do a good job every year, a week in advance, giving people advice, and we really, really dropped the ball this time.
Guess what? My wife DM'd me. She's in Italy for the Olympics. She DM'd me the sweetest Valentine I've ever gotten yesterday.
Are you allowed to share it on air?
Yep.
Wow.
It was just a DM. I mean, it wasn't even a DM. I guess it was a DM. It was a Instagram forward thing that was a study that said couples who don't celebrate Valentine's Day are happier.
I saw that too.
And it was a study. And so I was like, boom. Because Valentine's Day is birthday, Christmas. Thankfully, her birthday is Christmas. So I just have to go one heavy lift there. I don't know. Something about that. And then anniversary. And then I just feel like maxed already in thinking about nice things to do for the person I love, which is fairly rude.
Well, when does she get back?
I don't even know. Like, it feels like she's there for basically ever.
After Valentine's Day.
After Valentine's Day.
So that you got a free pass this year anyways. Like you buy yourself an extra week, and then, I mean, you got to acknowledge the day, but you don't have to do the gift and the whole rigmarole.
Yeah. The gift and the rigmarole. Valentine's Day has steadily dropped through the course of my life. I remember as a kid, it was not top, of course, but it was like pretty neat. Like, because everybody, remember, you go to school and you get those like store-bought cards, and everybody, and by 5th grade or 6th grade, you started to have some crushes. And so did your crush, like reading in between the lines, there was some kind of sleuth work.
It was those heart-shaped candies that taste like chalk. They chalk apart in your mouth, that had different sayings on them. And I remember kids, even at a very young age, being very strategic in how they distributed which ones.
Of course. And so there was a frisson around Valentine's Day. And then then it just slowly and became a chore. I think the Hallmark industry, or whoever makes these holidays, blew it on this one. I think they oversaturated somehow, because even the kid doesn't like Valentine's Day. Like, she has every reason to love it, and she's like, this one sucks.
Austin has been talking about it for a week. He's very excited. He's celebrating today because it's the last day of school before the actual holiday. He wrote a card to his teacher a week ago. He's been talking about it ever since. He's excited to give it to her today. He had a bag full of cards for all the other kids in class. So it's still peak for him.
How many hours did he spend on his crafting his messages to his fellow classmates?
Mom spent 1 hour and he dove in for 5 minutes before he got distracted.
Good job. Good job.
But what I'm hearing you say is you've suffered no consequence as it's become less important in your relationship and in your life. You're not suffering any consequence from your wife?
No. And also, I believe the study. I believe that couples who don't celebrate Valentine's Day are happier. I feel it's the lady doth protest too much style, right? I feel the person who goes all out on Valentine's Day, you're masking bad behavior or something. I bet Jeffrey Epstein probably gave banging Valentine's gifts.
Banging the operative word. Yeah. The other thing that's funny to me about her sending you that DM, I've noticed, I'll see similar studies. One that I remember specifically is males who have sex twice a week are whatever percentage less likely to die from heart disease, which is a leading cause of male death. And I always look when I see that study, you can see the stats of how many people liked it, how many people commented, and how many people DM'd it. Usually, likes are the most, comments are the second, and the DMs are far third. Whenever it's that one, DMs somehow are now in first position. It's like 32,000 people liked this, but 1 million people DM'd it, which means it's a bunch of dudes DMing to their wife.
Absolutely. And I would think that it beats the like, because no guy is going to like that, right? I mean, I feel that guys don't like Instagram posts as much. I mean, in your scrolling, how many times are you smashing that like button?
I leave no trace.
Yeah. Like I will only
I don't like anything.
I will only like something if it's like more than like, if it's like something really meaningful or somebody really went out of their way and did something very creative that I know. Like I never like any mass. I guess I like ballet stuff. I'll go like the NYCB stuff.
I'll tell you, my strategy is leave no trace unless I explicitly want to be traced.
Yes.
So if you post that your dog died, or something, or your parent just died or something like that, I want to be supportive in that moment. So I'm leaving a trace. Otherwise, there's lots of things that I like on there all the time, but I don't actually click the like.
It really is still so strange that when the dog dies or the parent dies that you like it. That's how you
need a dislike button.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I guess we're not giving advice to anybody today for what to purchase or do for their spouse.
We are. Don't celebrate it and tell your spouse or significant other that you guys are a happy couple.
Okay. Well, there is, incidentally, I don't think it was intended for Valentine's Day, but somebody did leave a Veyer Tools to Live By email that we will get to later that maybe you can try to apply henceforth.
Great.
Even though it's too late now. I did have a follow-up though. Did you ever get Cersei those martini glasses?
No.
Keep that in your back pocket.
I'll get her those for her return from her welcome home from Italy. That's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
done.
I was going to say, if not, you still got it in your back pocket for when you're in a bind and you need to get her something nice.
This is great.
Okay, good. Also, follow up from last week. I got at least 3 listener calls that I'm not going to play praising Jaime O'Brien and stating that they had great experiences with him in his defense from last week's conversation.
He's a great dude.
Salt of the earth is what they say.
Yep.
Also, another follow-up is, hey guys, I'm the guy that mentioned the show being slightly more positive and enjoying it more recently. I'm loved hearing the folks' feedback to my original voicemail, and there's 2 things that I want to clarify. The first episode that I ever listened to for a short time after, the first episode I listened to and for a short time thereafter was the heavy Felipe Toledo rousting stage. The Chaz/Felipe beef was pretty classic and it got pretty gnarly. Haha. I'm still not a Felipe fanboy, by the way. With that said, maybe what I was trying to say was that the show feels slightly more open-minded. Case in point, Chaz opening up to the dead, different boards, etc., But what I think this really boils down to is the boogie board / ayahuasca retreat concept that you two recently developed. I mean, this felt like a peak moment to me. Maybe I'm wrong, though. So let me pose it as a question. Do you think that Chaz would have been open to, or better yet, ready for, an ayahuasca boogie board life-changing experience 3 or 4 years ago? Discuss.
Wow. I don't think so. That scares me even thinking about it. Do you think I would have been ready for it 3 or 4 years ago?
100% not. And you would have taken either of those topics as a perfect thing to lambast and, fight against.
On the topic of open-mindedness, I got a shocker for you, David Lee Scales, right here this morning. That's going right along with the open-mindedness. Guess who watched an episode of Stab in the Dark and thoroughly enjoyed it?
So shocked, one, that you watched, doubly shocked that you enjoyed it.
What great production, man. I mean, I watched the episode 3, right? I didn't watch the whole thing, let's be quite honest, but I watched 25 minutes, which is more than enough, right?
No, you should watch the whole thing, but I'm still curious to hear what you're going to say.
Yeah, I mean, I was both production value was stellar. The storytelling arc was stellar. Specifically the Britt Merrick Kelly beef issue was all time. I don't know if you have this in your notes to talk about today.
I'll tell you what I have in my notes. Quote, I'm so glad that you aren't watching Stab in the Dark because we would have had to devote an entire episode to dissecting the Kelly versus Merrick family rift.
Can we devote a little bit of time to it?
We have to. We have to now.
Okay, so for those who don't subscribe to Stab Premium, episode 3, Kelly Slater is the Stab in the Dark test pilot, of course. Everybody knows. The Shapers. Did they already lose some or something? Did some get kicked off the island?
Can I spend like 3 minutes bringing you up to speed here?
Yes.
I hate because you're right. The lead story is the rift, so we should lead with that. But let me bring you up to speed.
Okay.
Because I actually had a change of heart after episode 3, because I had been defending episode 1 and 2.
And you think it's crappy now?
Not exactly, but I've definitely had a change of heart.
Okay.
Yes, there was one board lost. There was a DHD that was lost in episode 1 or 2. But this series is entirely different than the 9 previous iterations of it. What has happened in the 9 previous iterations is they're all very surfing heavy. And they have a concept, they have a number of boards, and they have a story arc of, maybe 6 episodes. And in episode 1, we're going to eliminate 2 boards. In episode 2, we're going to eliminate 2. And so it's just an equation. And at the end, you end up with 2 final boards, and then 1 gets selected. And they pick a surfer, and that surfer comes and they play by those rules. This is entirely not that. They had that concept. Kelly came around and he goes, no, we need a firewire included in this. The original concept for Stab in the Dark Decade, or 10, is the previous winners of Stab in the Dark. This is a championship round of previous winners that go up against one another. So there's 5 of those. They all agreed to it. They wanted Kelly for the project. Kelly came in and he said, I'm not willing to do this project unless we include a firewire. Stab, specifically Sam, gets on air and addresses this in episode 1 and explains what his solution was. So they basically accommodate Kelly's request, and they include a firewire surfboard. This one is shaped by Dan Mann. So now we have a 6th contender. Furthermore, these productions usually take 3 to 6 months to film, meaning they surf in a variety of locations in a variety of different waves, and the boards get exposed to a variety of those things. Kelly looks like he only surfed literally 5 sessions maybe total for the entirety of the 6 boards, and crappy conditions too. Snapper at very marginal snapper, and then D-Baw at average D-Baw. And he does not give the surfboards their full run, and so to answer your question, we're going in, this is only going to be 4 episodes instead of the normal 6 or 8. We're going into the final episode. 5 of the 4 are still included. He only ditched 1, and he ditched it after having 1 crappy session on it, and that was the DHD. So my complaint as the viewer is these shapers are absolutely not getting their fair shake. The boards aren't getting their fair shake for the amount of time and effort put into them and the expense put into them. And then further, as the consumer or viewer, I want to see Kelly surfing in good waves. I just want to see good surfing at the end of the day. And this is the worst surfing we've ever seen in Stab in the Dark by far. And it's Kelly not committing to the process. If Kelly committed to the project, he should have committed to 3 months or 6 months of not full stop, like you get 6 months of my time, but just coming on multiple surf trips over the course of 6 months. We're not getting that as the end user. And I understand, by the way, that Kelly is professional enough to where he gets up and riding on a board once. He probably knows whether it's a great board or not. But that's not the point. The point is we're viewers, we're committed, Stab committed all this time and effort. You, as the test pilot, need to also commit so that we get entertainment out of it. None of that was executed. And it wasn't apparent to me that it was only going to be 4 episodes until I watched the 3rd episode. And it highlights a criticism that you made previously, which is, why was episode 1 dedicated just to the shapers? I like it. I like hearing from the shapers. I like the shaper roundtable conversation. They're great personalities, but there's so little surfing. After 3 episodes, and now it turns out we're only going to get 4, there's so little surfing. And the surfing that we do get is in marginal surf. That's it.
Okay, I'm going to walk back my high praise coming in. I'm going to settle back down to earth here. The Kelly surfing stuff was unwatchable. That's why I only watched 25 minutes. I thought I don't want to watch Kelly surf garbage. It was poorly lit. Also, like half of those, it was like nighttime weird, crappy waves. Kelly looked. I don't care about him waxing his board and talking about wax. I don't care about anything Kelly had to say. To be quite frank, I don't care at all. What I was fascinated with is Britt Merrick's story and the way they packaged that story. That was 100%. A beautiful bit of storytelling. So that, I don't know, 15 minutes, whatever that section was some of the finest surf media I've seen in a long time. And Britt being open and honest and talking about the deep betrayal, which we're going to get into here, and Kelly being a stabby little snake. And you could just see it in his little snake eyes when they informed him of Britt's feelings. And he goes, that's funny. That's funny. I called Al, and Al said, Al said, I like turtles. Al said, you do what you do what you have to do or whatever. Like claiming that that's like a blessing, but we should get into this more.
Best for you. Yeah. You do what's best for you is what he said.
Yeah.
So the reason why I've changed my opinion on the series, but I don't dislike the series. I gave you my criticisms already, but what I think they did smartly, Sam and Stab, they did smartly was invest deeply into the storytelling aspect of it. And so episode 3 existed more like a podcast or a documentary to me than it did Stab in the Dark. Yeah, and I love podcasts and I love documentaries. So I loved the episode. No, I loved the episode for that reason, but it's totally bait and switch. It's not what it was intended to be. Now, totally agree with you. The Brit story is undertold, underappreciated. Like I've interviewed Brit a couple of times on Surf Splendor. He went deep into losing Daisy and all that stuff, and it is gut-wrenching, unimaginable. His response to it all and, all of it has been really kind of amazing to see. The part about the Kelly versus Merrick rift is brand new storytelling, and it's something that I think the vast consumer base was completely unaware of. I also think that Britt and Channel Islands as a family has done an incredible job navigating through that, where they never really pulled back the curtain and they never really explained how deep the betrayal was. And I know you and I know them personally and know other people, even the Firewire people personally. And so you and I probably have deeper insights to it than the general public does. I will state, from my understanding, the rift and the betrayal is deeper than what Britt even let on. And
Absolutely.
I think Britt let on a lot. I think Britt used the word betrayal specifically, but the word betrayal doesn't even fully explain the betrayal.
Okay. I mean,
It's almost like he was padding it a little bit.
I mean, exactly. Like Britt, doff my I hate surfing cap to Britt Merrick 100. He is clearly a very, very, very big man, both in stature and then also just
integrity.
You could like he's just a good heart, right? He is who you a person worthy of emulation, right? And so for those who either don't know the story or whatever, so obviously Al Merrick started Channel Islands. Britt, as he tells the story in Stab in the Dark, and he's talked about it before, in high school, got into drugs, whatever, and then re-entered the Christian path, was shaping boards, and then started a, I don't know, churchy thing for surf kids. And
he started, he started 7 churches. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so that grew, so he quit shaping and then his daughter dies in there.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Another important detail is Kelly Slater, as a kid at the U.S. Open, the Merrick family took Kelly in as their, I don't know what's the right word, but essentially treated him like a son.
A son, yeah.
And so Britt has known Kelly since a very young age.
And Britt and Kelly are the same exact age. So grew up together as basically twin brothers under Father Al's roof.
Yeah, and this is language that both Kelly and Britt use: adopted son, adopted family. So the connection is not being overstated by us.
No. Yeah, it's not like when Kelly blew into town, he would sleep on Al Merrick's couch. No. Deep relationship. So anyway, Britt's daughter dies of kidney cancer, I think it was, like horrible heartbreak. And he gets back into shaping, right? And shaping is kind of his, as he tells it, his release from this pain, or just a place where he can go and get his mind off it, right? So then at the time, Channel Islands was owned by Burton. Burton called up and was like, hey, we'll sell this back to you guys. So off we go, right? And then at this time, then Kelly is like, I'm leaving. I'm buying Firewire, right? And Britt talks about it, deep betrayal. Beyond deep betrayal. So it's like, Kelly going and buying a competitor is one thing, right? Buying a surfboard business is one thing. Kelly Slater going and basically we'll say bringing over a bunch of poaching, a bunch of staff, paying them, super high wages. Kelly Slater, more or less, which you can speak to, and people talk about this about Firewire a lot, and obviously Schroff and stuff like this, about just tried to gut the surfboard industry, domestic surfboard industry, by manufacturing overseas, like crazy amounts of, like what they would consignment basically to shops, right?
Yes, their model has been consignment. So traditionally, the way that the industry is run, the domestic industry is run always since the very beginning, is surfboard shapers would bring boards to retail. Retailers would probably order them, and they would have maybe 30 days to pay the invoice. So here's the boards. They're going on the shelf. In 30 days, this invoice is due. Maybe 60, maybe 90 in rare circumstance. So that's the way that it's always run. And Firewire basically came in and they said, you know what, we'll actually just let you hang on to these boards. Rather than them sitting in our warehouse, you warehouse them for them. And then once you sell them, we'll give you 30 days on top of that. So you basically fill up your square footage with our inventory, and you don't owe anything on it until the board sales. So for a retailer, of course, it's a gift.
And of course, goes without saying, manufacture, pop out overseas, flooding the market with these boards, changing the model. So not only, and let's just go all the way back to the start here, not only did Kelly leave Channel Islands when Channel Islands really could have used him, right? And I've talked about this on the podcast before, real gut punch out of the gate already. But not just leave, buy Firewire and try to basically destroy Channel Islands business and other surfboards too, but really specifically Channel Islands, like poaching their people, using their strategies that they had used, their, sales strategies, and their marketing strategies. And it's inconceivable that you would do that to family, And then when Kelly's told, again, in Stab in the Dark, of Britt saying, deeply betrayed, huh, funny, I never heard that. I never heard that. When I was going to do this, I called Al and he said, this is business. You do what's best for you. Calling that a blessing. I called and asked for his blessing. And Britt talks about it, that the betrayal, not just that Britt felt, that Al continues to feel, right? That it was, and I guess with Kelly, you got to think that's just what he does. To be the best in the world, I suppose, to have that level of competitiveness is just, I wouldn't want to be Kelly. I wouldn't want 11 world titles and no friends, and just everyone know that you will knife them in the back at any given moment if it's to your advantage.
Business is an easy thing to kind of say, but the reality is, this is a cottage industry, and the only way it became an actual business is through personal relationships. And so Kelly owes a huge debt of gratitude to Al Merrick for 11 world titles. Kelly would not be where Kelly is without Al Merrick. And I think that Kelly is a talented enough surfer to where he was going to win world titles no matter whose boards he was riding. But the element of adopted family, without that, he might not have won a single world title. You know what I mean? And so there's no way to extract that relationship from his life. And the level of gratitude is, you couldn't put a level on it, that he should have.
Except apparently he has zero, right? If Kelly would have, when informed about the deep betrayal, if Kelly would have sat there and hung his head for a moment and said, I made a business decision and I had to, basically knife my family, and it sucks. And it sucks. Well, Kelly's flippant. That's funny. I've never heard that. Is like, shut your mouth.
Well, so I think that if you're selfish and maybe narcissistic, you can misinterpret, go ahead and do what's best for you as a blessing or approval. But what you cannot misinterpret is, in the decade since, that your relationship with that person who said that has changed.
Yeah.
And so we know from Kelly's own mouth that the relationship with Al Merrick and the family was very, very tight for decades and decades. And we know from what Britt says in this interview that the relationship is, quote, 1% of what it used to be. So if in the last decade, Kelly would acknowledge, I don't talk to them anymore, I don't receive birthday calls from, or whatever, whatever the things are, the data points are. Yeah. Whatever the data points are, he would have to acknowledge that. And so I think that his response was disingenuous, to say the least. His response of, I'm shocked to hear this.
Or he's so wrapped up in himself, that's what came across most to me. And that whole thing is and again, to win 11 world titles, to be that good, to be the best ever. It goes without saying, I suppose, that you have to have a deep level of selfishness to do that, right? You have to be putting yourself first, always. Your own training, your own sleep, your own food, all this kind of stuff, right? You have to be cutthroat, which is fine. And I suppose, or not, I don't know. It just made me think it's not worth it, right? How much is a championship worth? How much is being the best worth? And yeah, I don't know. But yeah, he's a snaky dude.
I had a couple of realizations watching it, and one of them is that he's probably kept a very his PR team or whatever strategies they have in place have been very well executed and curated, because this is kind of the first time I remember where his words and his edit is in somebody else's hand. and it hasn't reflected well on him. Because I think even when his edit was in the WSL's hand, it was still, he had levers at play there, you know?
Well, look, he even has levers here at play, like wedging in Dan Mann. I mean, he made the whole thing, he made the whole entire thing unfair and stupid, right? It's that Britt or that Stab told Channel Island's story very well. And that's what Kelly, like that truth of that betrayal, Kelly couldn't X out.
So
Britt said it.
Yeah, what I didn't anticipate was that Britt would come out as the star of the series, just through sympathy, but also through his board looks best under Kelly's under feet, you know? So Britt absolutely comes out as the sympathetic character. And then reading through the comment section on Stab, I saw people say,
I'm ordering a CI.
I'm ordering a CI. And then I mentioned that the other day on Spit with Scott Bass, and on our comment section on YouTube, people are like, yeah, me too. I actually already ordered one because of this. So
absolutely. So
the thing is, though, in Kelly's effort to make this a marketing vehicle for Firewire, i.e. forcing Firewire's inclusion, I said at the very beginning, this doesn't work well as a marketing vehicle because if Firewire wins, it looks like the fix is in. If Firewire loses, it looks like, well, you guys shouldn't be, Dan Mann shouldn't be your shaper, basically. You should have been using Britt Merrick all along, or the Merrick family all along. So I thought that was a misstep from a marketing standpoint. What I didn't anticipate was that this sort of storyline would develop that just reflects poorly on Kelly as a whole and tarnishes his brand as a whole. You know, tarnishes the way that the internet and his fan base is viewing him as a whole. So I think that it is a misstep. And I have one further concern that is just pure speculation.
Hit me.
It's basically, he basically said it's narrowed down to these two boards. It's Firewire versus CI at this point. Yeah. Can you imagine if this ends with those two boards in a wave pool?
You think they're going to go to a wave pool?
I think they might. I think they've gotten crappy waves. He's not sticking around for 3 months to get good waves. They want to get this. He wants this over with tomorrow, basically.
You don't think it's already filmed?
Yeah. It's already filmed.
Yeah, but I bet they went out for one more crappy day at Deba or wherever.
Let's check in next week.
He definitely wouldn't. There's no Kelly pool in. I mean, I guess they could have gone to Abu Dhabi from Australia.
Yeah. They absolutely could have gone to California. They could have gone to Abu Dhabi. They could have gone anywhere. I honestly think
he's not going to surf in a non-Kelly pool. So it'd either be Abu Dhabi or Lemoore.
Imagine. Let's fantasize about if that happens, how upset everybody would be.
I mean, it would have just been if that does happen, it already is a vast overplay by Kelly. I mean, Kelly, you said it. He didn't damage his brand to me. I've never been, or not never been a Kelly fan, but I've been critical of Kelly and like not fanboyish of Kelly, right? But I think this damages people who like Kelly, look at this and say, that's not fair. What you did was not fair. Adding Dan Mann here is not fair. Whatever you pick is going to be not fair, right? I mean, there's no way he's picking the CI. He knows Dan Mann's board right out of the gate.
I saw people commenting that. I don't think he did. I honestly don't think that he knows which board is which. He says as much, and I believe him.
Do you?
I do. Personally, I don't know for a fact, but just when I was watching it, I believed what he was saying was accurate, that he did not know. He had inklings about certain things, but that he did not know for sure. And I know, again, like I said, I saw commenters saying that they think he was smoke screening. But
if he picks the CI though, what an absolute whole, like, I don't know,
vindication.
story complete of victory for CI at the end.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're watching now.
I'm gonna finish this. I don't think I'm gonna watch the next one. The honest to goodness.
You have to.
No, the Ethan Ewing one.
Oh no, I thought you just meant the final.
No. That part's really boring to me. I mean, I get how that would be or could be entertaining. It's just not my thing. Like watching Ethan Ewing or whoever like talk about boards and then surfboards. It's like, okay, cool.
Maybe this is belaboring the point, and you did kind of cover it, but what Britt doesn't say is the betrayal is not just buying the competing brand and the consignment model or the implementation of the consignment model. And the poaching. You mentioned the poaching of key staff, but there's also I don't want to get us in legal trouble here, but there's a certain amount of IP that Channel Islands developed, or just tactics, marketing tactics, the demo van, distribution channels that they had spent years developing, that suddenly Firewire had in place as soon as Kelly came over with that staff. So it's I think to the team at CI probably felt like more than just the people. It was a lot of the IP isn't the right word, but a lot of the years of hard work,
Yeah. I mean, again, like Kelly could have bought a competing or whatever, could have bought a surfboard company and done his own thing, right? Said, I'm going to leave Channel Islands alone. To buy one and to, by all look and feel, perfectly, or go after Channel Islands to put them in the ground, feels like, what are you doing?
Well, moving on to an equally salacious story, Eric Logan finds a new home. Do you have anything to say about Eric Logan's new home? I'm not going to let it play too long because we'll get.
It's just, I just don't understand. Like, I don't understand how, if you're Tony Robbins, you are a self-help guru, how you don't at least look at the internet and what surfing said about Eric Logan, not just Beach Grit, not just the podcast, but everyone, right? I mean, everyone was lambasting across media, where you wouldn't think, well, this is a little fishy. But maybe on the other hand, I mean, I've heard great things about Tony Robbins, so I have no idea what
this doesn't call into question Tony Robbins as his character, integrity, or anything. It calls into question his due diligence.
If you hire Eric Logan, then all of a sudden I will question your character and integrity.
No, but I think he's unawares of the Eric Logan story. So I think Eric Logan is so
flaming.
Yes, and I think that entire last year and a half of Substack posts that he was promoting and all this stuff was actually to bury and rebrand as this. I mean, go back and look at all those titles. It was all about motivation, self-help.
Yeah.
Take advantage, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, do it on your own, believe in yourself, all of this. It was literally echoing all of Tony Robbins' teaching. So I think that he had his eye on this specific prize and spent a year and a half mapping for it and also burying all the other stuff. I mean, the NDA that was apparently signed between whomever and Eric Logan when he left the WSL, for the reasons that he left the WSL, is apparently also watertight enough to where Tony Robbins and his team, through their due diligence, couldn't find the answer, because I think that would also jeopardize the opportunity for this employment. So I think Tony Robbins is just unaware and sees the resume, which on paper looks impressive and looks like a good fit.
I guess so. I guess for me to think that Tony Robbins or Tony Robbins' team is going to start crawling around surf websites, thinking, well, wait a second, it's already such inside baseball talk anyway, inside surf talk, that it would be hard to even figure anything out from it if you're them. So, well, you got a real gift over there, Tony Robbins. Congratulations. He's a real fun dude.
You want to take bets on either A, how long he stays, or B, how much he derails the Tony Robbins bullet train?
I'm going to say that I'm going to go weird here. I'm going to say that he does a good job of getting Tony Robbins some TV deal or something, or the it's weird that it's called a conglomerate, isn't it? I think the official name of it is the Tony Robbins conglomerate.
I didn't know that.
I think that's what it is. Weird. But in any case, what's he going to do? No, I take it back. He's going to crash and burn. Yeah, he's going to just flop around. He's going to flop around and do flim flam stuff for 2 years. And then I bet he took this job for rehab and he wants another step up, right? This is not the Eric Logan end goal dream is the Tony Robbins conglomerate. I'm sure he wants back in Hollywood. He wants back somewhere, right? He wants to head a studio. He wants something more. And so he's going to use this to rehab, to put a couple wins on the board, because for sure his WSL resume reads like wins, right? It's going to be like, we grew surfing from X to Y and da 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 da. And so he's going to do another win on the board and then move on 2 years.
I'll take the under.
Okay, you think under 2?
18 months or so.
And he's going to get fired. He's going to be so egregiously inept.
Yes. I think he will leave under equally questionable circumstances as the WSL, and the stated reason for him leaving will be underperformance.
Here's the other thing that I don't understand. If you're Tony Robbins, right? You're Tony Robbins, you're about people's lives getting better, making people's lives get better, helping people to get their lives better. Eric Logan doesn't talk with his family as far as he wrote, right? Doesn't talk with his daughters. I don't know how you can have somebody, and this is not a secret, that Erik wrote a whole story about this on Substack. So I don't know how you can have hey, we're going to help everybody. We're the place to be to get you better, when one of our CEO doesn't speak with his family.
I don't either. Also, maybe the due diligence wasn't as thorough as I thought. I have a prediction as well.
Yeah.
When he was at Oprah, he was dressing like Oprah. When he came to surfing, he's like embraced surf culture wholeheartedly.
Wore Felipe Toledo. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He literally wore Felipe Toledo's shirt. So I'm picking veneers for him in the next 2 months. He's going to be on Instagram with veneers. He's going to be doing ice baths. He's going to have a goatee.
What if
I see the goatee coming?
Definitely 100% goatee. You know what else I see coming? Lifts in the shoes. He's going to try to get a little giantism in there, whatever Tony Robbins has.
Is there any way to bulk the girthiness of your fingers?
He's going to figure it out. He's going to put his hands like in vacuums or something at night.
Penis pumping finger thingies. Plump up these sausages.
He so is, and I bet surfing, we will never see surfing on Eric Logan's Instagram again.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Well,
enjoy
fun times ahead. Are you not blocked on that Instagram yet?
No. I love Eric Logan for that. I will totally give him credit for that. I've never once been blocked.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, moving on, more surf news. Todos Santos gets as good as it gets and runs the Thriller at Killers. Fantastic event, incredible waves, incredible surfing, and another side story is Justine Dupont snapped her spine on a 25-footer. I mean, fractured a vertebrae, actually.
Yeah. Ouch. But yeah, man, I remember when Killers first came into my awareness via the magazines. It must have been high school or something. Evan Slater, I feel, was like covers of stuff, and I would just look at that wave and it was like the scariest, most magnetic. There was something really magnetic about Killers, I thought, right? Like everything about it. There was some aura, and the fact that it was named Killers and all of it. And then it just disappeared forever. And I'm glad to see it coming back.
I mean, it really, once the swell hits like it did, it's obviously leaves an impression. Like it did for this event, you see what it's all about. And then, of course, it leaves an impression and reminds everybody. My first awareness or memory of it was being in high school, and a girl that I liked went on family vacation down to Cabo, and then she had come back and referenced Todos Santos. I'm like, that's not by Cabo. Like, what are you talking about? Because I was the only kid in our school who like cared about surfing enough to like know where Todos Santos was. It was an island off of Ensenada, like Baja area. So I'm like, it's way north of that. And she's like, no,
Yeah.
it's not. You're dumb. You don't know what you're talking about. Then I was confused because the internet didn't exist. And I'm like, I got to go home and look at my surf magazines and like recalibrate. Is Todos Santos that much further? But they're wearing wetsuits and it's warm down there. Well, this doesn't make sense. Turns out there's two Todos Santos.
It's very funny you bring that up. That kills me. That it still confuses me to this day. Like, I know that Killers is off Ensenada, but then I'll just, in my mind, I still know that Todos Santos is in Cabo.
Yeah. Well, a 15-year-old David Scales misplayed that one with a girl he liked by getting into an argument with her about geography.
That's very funny.
Lesson learned. The Rincon Classic, it's also as good as it gets. Epic event.
California, I mean, yeah, California / Baja California, getting lit right up.
Sponsored by Merrick Lager, too, while we're on the conversation of Merrick.
Fine lager. Man, Rincon, when it's good, is such a pleasing wave to watch, and I'm sure it is to surf.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, all-time Queen of the Coast, one of the best in California. Here's a news story that everybody should be aware of is $13,000 US is up for grabs. It's actually 10,000 British pounds, but currently equates to about 13,000 US dollars, up for grabs for a female filmmaker. This is thanks to the London Surf Film Festival and the brand Finisterre. Quote, if you had 10,000 pounds to make your next surf film, what story would you tell? Now is the time to get planning because we've just opened submissions for the 4th edition of Women of the Sea Film Fund, presented by Finisterre and the London Surf Film Festival. The winning entry will receive 10,000 pounds. It's a grant to bring your story to life, and the finished film will have its world premiere on the big screen as part of the lineup for the London Surf Film Festival for 2026. So this is open exclusively to emerging or established women filmmakers, residents of UK, Ireland, US, and Canada. The Women of the Sea Film Fund is about celebrating and elevating women on both sides of the lens. This is until March 8th. You have the opportunity to pitch a short film of 10 to 15 minutes in duration, exploring any aspect of surfing or surf culture that brings to the fore untold tales of women making waves.
Get it in there. What a great opportunity. I love that.
Yeah, we obviously, you and I spend time with the Florida Surf Film Festival, but I know they're friends with the guys over in London who are doing this. So shout out to the London Surf Film Festival. This is apparently the 4th edition, and I was unaware, or the 4th edition of this project that they're doing, and I had never heard of the Women of the Sea Film Fund before, but it sounds epic. And all you got to do is send in your submission. It could be in the form of a 5 to 15 minute film, and they'll give you this money to fund the actual film project.
Love it.
Yeah. Doppelgängers. Look, I thought I was going to get in hot water last week by suggesting that Paizel and Jamie O'Brien may have shared DNA, but that is tame compared to what I have in store for you today.
Ooh, I can't wait for a spicy one. I need a little spice.
This is not only close to home for you, but it's also right in line with the biggest news story in the world right now.
Bad Bunny.
No, even bigger than Bad Bunny. Are you ready? I'm just going to let your response say it all. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Here we go.
Boom. It's perfect. It is perfect. Who, where, how did this come in? For those who are not viewing, it is one singer-songwriter, Jack Johnson, and one disgraced financier and pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein, and it is a banger. Spot on.
I have been sworn to not reveal the source that alerted me to this, because it's a name that everybody knows in the surf world. And originally he's like, yeah, you could share it. And then afterwards I was like, are you sure you want me to tell everybody who sent me this? And he's like, you know what? Let's keep it anonymous. So it will remain anonymous, but, and I don't want to be associated with identifying it, but goodness gracious, Jack Johnson and Jeffrey Epstein look alike.
a lot alike. And this has nothing to do. I feel bad now that I've talked bad about Jack Johnson's music because people are going to think that just I got it out for Jack Johnson. I don't at all. I wish that he didn't look like Jeffrey Epstein, but I wasn't the one who carved his chin and shaped his forehead to look exactly like Jeffrey Epstein's. It was not my fault.
Sorry, Jack Johnson. Sincerely sorry for sharing it with the world, but this is important information that I feel everybody can appreciate.
Twinning. I mean, Jack Johnson can go. He can use this. He could go as Jeffrey Epstein to a, Halloween party, say, but like make Jeffrey Epstein, look real bad or put a noose around his neck or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you think that somebody, specifically Jack Johnson, could get away with dressing as Jeffrey Epstein for Halloween?
No. No, I don't. Way too soon. Hopefully forever too soon. Hopefully nobody ever tries it.
Do you think anyone could?
This sounds like a skit for Nathan For You. I see Nathan Fielder building out an episode about this. Him going to a Halloween party as Jeffrey Epstein.
Man. Oh, man. Yeah. Whoever sent in, it's weird. It's funny how things just hide in plain sight, right?
It's so obvious.
I stared at Epstein's face a ton, stared at Jack Johnson's face a ton throughout my life, never put them together.
And they have very unique faces. Like I've even not maybe I've never verbalized it, but when I've seen Jack Johnson's face, there's always in the back of my mind, like he has such a distinct, interesting face. Yeah. And when I've seen Jeffrey Epstein, I've had the exact same thought. I just never put them together.
Man.
Anyways.
Well, congrats, Jack Johnson.
Certainly won't be able to listen to Banana Pancakes anymore with any level of lack of disgust. All right. Takes on a whole new meaning.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry for that. Also
sorry for the Jack Johnson Jeffrey Epstein twinning moment.
I don't know. You think this is what ultimately does us in?
So I guess here's the thing. It'd be one thing, obviously, going to Halloween as Jeffrey Epstein would be frowned upon, but is even laughing that Jack Johnson looks like Jeffrey Epstein? Are we like so far over the edge, even with that people are going to be listening at home or in the car thinking, this is, you guys lost me. You were funny. You used to be, or vaguely amusing. This is downright awful.
I don't know the answer, but I do know we will find out in a few short hours. The feedback usually comes pretty hot and heavy. I'm always surprised how fast people listen, to be perfectly frank.
I'm glad. Naps. How much did you get smacked up on naps?
Yeah, fair bit.
I got smacked up a lot of you're doing naps wrong. Here's how to do nap. It was all very informative and helpful. I mean, I'm not gonna try it out. The coffee before a nap or espresso before a nap I thought, wow, that is a hot take.
Well, that conversation is for Noble Rot.
Okay, great.
Because that conversation took place over there.
Oh, did it?
It did, yeah.
Dang it.
That was my zero this week. But one other Doppelgängers thing that we need to discuss, follow-up from last week, comes in the form of a listener call, and then I'll show you an image.
Hey, guys. Greetings from the North Pacific Northwest, up near Canada. Listen to you guys all the time, long-time listener, and I've called in a couple times. But I wanted to lift up Chaz a bit. I felt about his conversation about looking like, or being told that he looks like Steve Buscemi. I myself have not been told that, but I do have a friend that has been told that a few times. And my wife was a savior for him, and I'd like to do the same for you, and encourage you to Google Steve Buscemi and who exactly his lookalike is. I think you'd be extremely surprised that it is Angelina Jolie. Take a look, do the Google, do the work. Over and out, guys.
There it is for you.
I feel so much better. I'm going to tell people I look like Angelina Jolie. For those who aren't on the YouTubes, they are as identical as Jeffrey Epstein and Jack Johnson.
Have you seen this on the internet before?
No.
I had. Yeah. And I almost mentioned it last week when you mentioned Steve Buscemi. I almost was like, yeah, isn't it weird though how much he looks like Angelina Jolie? And specifically when they were younger, like these are high school photos of each of them. Modern Buscemi has not aged as gracefully as modern Angelina, not to take anything away from you.
Thank you. But I have now if you start somewhere, I wonder if I can find my way back or find my way to Angelina Jolie of today.
Maybe you could. I don't know.
I'm going to go on that journey alongside my Grateful Dead journey.
Isn't it interesting how similar yet different they can look?
Yeah. I mean, but
she's a spectacular beauty. And I'm not saying Buscemi isn't a good-looking guy, but the difference
I think we can say that. I think we can fairly say that Steve Buscemi is not a traditionally, a classically handsome man.
So if we're going to rank him on a 1 to 10, traditional 1 to 10 scale, she's a 10, he's a 5.
Yeah,
and
he's a 3.
So the difference between, like, if you just took their features, they are 98% the same. But when you create the 1 to 10 scale, there's a 7-point disparity somehow.
I wonder, do you think that Steve Buscemi just went into the wrong line of work? Do you think if he would have become a male model, and not the wrong line of work, he's a phenomenal actor, he doesn't need his looks, right? But if he became a male model, do you think that he would today be like one of the handsomest men around?
No.
Well, she's one of the most beautiful women around.
So if he was trans, he could have been a female model.
Okay, so you're saying that it doesn't translate.
Somehow
Jolie's beauty doesn't translate to the man's.
It makes no sense to me.
It's wild.
I have no explanation.
Yeah.
But then I had a third follow-up thought here, which was, man, that guy has range as an actor.
Sure does.
Because you watch Fargo, he's done like incredible work, but he also does a ton of Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah.
And then I thought, you know what? Sandler actually has he has a roster of people who fit that same bill. Like people who are Academy Award winners, then also do Sandler films. Ben Stiller comes to mind.
But I think it's because Adam Sandler himself is actually a great actor, where you hear that time and time again, right? From like George Clooney and all these guys. It's like he's a phenomenal actor, that he works really hard at the craft, that he's good at acting. He's not just a funny guy, right? And so maybe just like Cheerios in the milk bowl. You just are drawn together with other great actors who have far range, and then you want to work with them.
Interesting analogy.
Billy Madison or Fargo.
I've never heard that analogy before. Did you just make it up?
I just made it up.
They do stick together.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, moving on. Congratulations. Now you can run with Angelina Jolie instead of Steve Buscemi. And then we have a listener call coming through.
Hey, for the grit, I know you've talked about new boards being all white or one color, or you don't care about the color. And to each his own. I want to make a case for choosing your colors and being very specific about it when you're getting a custom board. I'm a lifelong intermediate, and that's like with beer goggles, right? I actually ask my shaper to make the colors kind of appropriate to how I want to approach that wave. Meaning, a fish, let's make some fun colors and some silly designs. If it's more of a board for like down the line overhead waves, let's make it, something aggressive looking, red or dark something or whatever. It doesn't make me surf any better, but it helps me be in the mindset of this is what this board is designed for. It's kind of the idea of like, you walk down the street to grab some milk from the store, slice of pizza. You can go in sweatpants, or you can go all styled up. You are the same. You're the same person. But what you wear sort of changes your mindset and your approach. Are you going to do anything different? Maybe, maybe not. But it's just that mindset. So I wanted to leave you with that thought.
Dress
I like
for the job.
I was just going to say, dress for the job you want, not the job you have. I like it. I like the mindset shift here.
Color your board for the ripping you aspire to.
Yep.
This flies in the face of some of my deepest held beliefs, but I also agree with the principle of it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the question, I suppose, would be, what is the, because he said fun and fruity or whatever for a fish, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be a goofy fish guy, right? But you can't really be an aggressive fish guy either.
See,
so what's the right color for a fish?
here's dress for the job you want. Yes. Surfing is different than the job you want because you're always going to be limited by your own ability and your own potential. So, and the dress for the job you want analogy here would be, I'm going to wear a white wetsuit because Slater's done it. Stephanie Gilmore's done it. Chloe Andino's done it. So I want to rip. Guess what? I'm going to pretend I rip. It does the opposite. It makes you look like an even bigger fool because you're drawing all this attention to yourself and you're going out and you're bogging. I think the same thing. If you think red Ferrari, okay, red high performance shortboard, put flames on that bad boy. Unless you're going out and boosting full rotation airs with the flames and the red board, it does not, you look like a kook.
Okay, so here's the thing though. It's paint your board for the way you want to surf, not for the way you surf. But I think that it has a real limit, right? Like it's in a real narrow window of what you can actually do because you cannot draw attention to yourself. So that it starts there, right? If you're lifelong intermediate, you cannot draw attention to yourself. So what is the color palette that you can use? So back to the fish. I want to surf loose. I want to surf fast. What's a fast, loose color that's not going to draw attention to itself?
Now, this is the crux of the problem is, are you a gifted enough artist or designer to even know what that is?
To know what the color is?
I want to surf fast and loose. How does that translate artistically? If you are a designer and you have a vision in your mind of what that looks like on a board, by all means, dictate. I certainly don't.
But yeah, I mean, that's what I would say. I would defer to the shaper, Glass or whoever's doing the color on the board. I would defer. I want to say, I want to surf loose and fast. I want a color that doesn't call attention to itself, that's fast and loose.
So this is one of my deepest held beliefs that I started out by saying, and maybe I misunderstood the caller, because to me, the caller is saying he is the one mandating the art. Yes. I've always felt, I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. Shaper, I'll give you I'll tell you I want a short board or whatever, like very, very vague, and then say, please run with that and guide the way. Laminator, or if you're one and the same, by all means, go nuts. Or don't.
Yeah. I mean, I got a new board in the pipeline here and was asked, any color, any spray, what do you want? Like, chef's surprise. And came back with any colors you don't like. And I was like, nope. Like, you are crafting this thing, right? You are cutting this board from a block of foam. You're having a feeling about it as you're making it, right? What is why am I going to tell you? Yeah. Like, why am I going to say, yeah, I want this. I want you to make me this and do it like this. No, sir.
The other thing that I've heard from a complaint from board builders is that when people, it's almost like the more adamant the customer is about the aesthetic, the more pissed they are when you deliver it, because there's almost no way for them to actually execute your vision.
Yeah.
And even to the point of if they say, I want blue, well, there's a ton of different shades of blue. And that, so the shaper will, the shaper will be like, do you want light blue, dark blue? I want light blue. Okay, I'll give you a light blue. Then you deliver it and they're like, that's not what I had in mind.
Yeah.
So the shaper, inevitably, if they know the person is adamant about something, they know it's going to be a problem, basically.
Yeah. Nice insight.
Yeah. So I have only ever requested a color twice in my life. I've owned, let's say, 50 surfboards in my life. I've only ever requested a color twice. One of them you could see at the top of the frame, probably right there. Can you see that at the top of the frame?
Yellow?
I think the order was actually kelp. I was like,
green?
yeah, it's kind of green. It's like a
Okay.
certain green.
Is that a glider?
It's kind of a glider-ish style. It's from Dave Parmenter, and he calls it a PSV. It's a paddle surf vehicle, is what he calls it. So it's like a glider, but it's pointy. You could ride it in big waves, either giant waves or 1 foot waves, bomby type waves. So it's meant as you could have it like as a prone paddleboard if you want, or it has edge on it and some other surf details to where you could surf it if you want.
Why did you go for kelp?
I don't know. I was trying to think about it, but I ordered it a long time ago, so I don't remember the reason, but I do remember him like almost insisting that I pick.
Oh.
I was like, I don't care. And he's like, no, just what do you want? Like, give me a color. And I'm like, I don't know, you pick. He's like, let's do a color, but you got to give me some direction. So I finally like landed on it, but I don't know why I landed on that.
Okay, but I like this whole thing anyway, because I would imagine some shapers also, the chef surprise, it's like, don't put that on me, man. Like, I'm already shaping this board. I'm doing all this work, and you're going to now make me think about what color you're going to like. Come on, just tell me a color.
The other demand that I've had is white. I'm like, I know I don't want a color basically, so just leave it transparent, you know?
I mean, but I think that's I think that's like, those are both total fair play for direction right there, right? Either I don't want a color, because that's not choosing a color, that's choosing no color.
Yes.
Or if your shaper is, you have to choose.
Yeah. The other 48 times I've said, you do you, boo.
Yeah.
And so everything stacked behind me, those are all shaper's choice.
And let's be quite frank too. I mean, again, this caller I think had great advice about in a range, but also on the other hand, we're not 6 years old anymore. We don't have favorite colors. Like, if a board came and it was purple, I'd be like, oh, cool, it's a purple board. If a board came and it was
purple right there.
Yeah, like any color, I'd be fine. Like, the only color that would annoy, I would think me, and I used to think it was cool, and now I think that's uncool, is black, purely because of the melty wax thing. Like, I've surfed a black board in Cobble before, and it was just a mess. Yeah. And that's the only color. If a black board came in, I'd be like, oh, not for the aesthetics, purely for the, oh man, it's just melty wax time.
Yeah, it's in the sun. Primarily, it's in the sun, so it's a problem. Now, can you say what you ordered?
I'm not going to yet. I'm going to keep the surprise coming, or keep the surprise. I'll tell you. I think it's going to take. I think it's a 3-month wait.
Holy guacamole!
Is that fast or short or slow?
It's a long time.
Yeah, but it's okay. So maybe I'll wait for the 3 months till I get it, and then we'll really look at it together.
No, okay. So many questions. Dodge them if you want. Why did you order a new board? And what style of new board is it? Can you say the style?
Because per our conversation about, I want to feel something new. Okay. And then I thought, I'm just going to put my money where my mouth is here and actually feel something new. And so it's Shea Soma. So I've been loving my my Super Mini so much that I said, hey, Shea, okay, so I'm having a lot of fun, but the problem is I'm taking my Super Mini out on days when I shouldn't be surfing it, on good days. So I want a board that's good for me, for my style, my skill level, also where I surf, when the waves get bigger and racier and actually, somewhat decent. And he was like, gotcha. So it's I can't remember what it is. I'll bring more detail. But he was like, I know exactly what you're going after. And so, yeah.
Perfect. You've teased just enough to where we can revisit down the road.
Yes.
And it also leads us to our next segment. So that's kind of nice as well. But I do like that you are revisiting your relationship with him, because this is how the best boards are created, is through multiple iterations and refinements and working together.
Which I haven't done. I've usually either had stuff shaped for me but it was, and I've loved a Channel Islands so much, but like a backyard kind of shaper relation. Not that Shay's a backyard shaper. How would you describe Shay Soma's business empire?
Backyard shaper.
Yeah.
Literally, I've been to his backyard where the shaping bay exists. And maintained a day job while he explored the shaping thing for a very long time. So
Yeah.
like he is the essence of a backyard shaper.
But yeah, like I've never gone on a journey. So I feel like
Yeah.
the boys do in Egypt where they hold hands and walk down the street. I'm interlocking fingers with Shay Soma, and let's see how this blossoms.
I think it will blossom beautifully.
I'm excited.
Together. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, hey, Veyer, Tools to Live by Veyer. I know it's too late to get your partner a gift, but they make ladies color watches now too. I've seen like a pink dial. Yeah.
In a smaller bezel?
I don't know what size it was, but I've seen it. So
Man.
consider a ladies watch. Consider
Get your
if
lady
you're
a
a lady,
watch.
get your boy a watch.
Be a
It won't-
gentleman caller.
Won't arrive today, or won't arrive in time for Valentine's Day, but still, the thought that counts. Yeah. VeyerWatches.com/surfsplendor for 15% off an American assembled, waterproof guaranteed, beautiful timepiece for a fraction of the price of competitors that are, of similar build.
I'll tell you what, too. How often do you get complimented on your Veyer out in the wild?
You know what? I was dropping off the kid at school the other day, and I got a compliment from the teacher I was handing off to.
I get regular compliments on the Veyer watch from complete strangers.
Yep, there you go. Hey, DLS and Chaz, first time emailing in after plenty DMs, mostly about food, but occasionally about some surf. I'd like to share practice that I maintain that could possibly fit a Veyer tool belt. I recently ordered a Shay Soma Mini Super. And while DMing with Shay, in parentheses, solid, collaborative, kind dude, by the way. Awesome that you guys continue to shine a light his way, ! About pricing on all things glass polish versus sand, fin options versus glass-ons, tints, and so forth. I realized I was fixating on the final total for a layered reason. And I was reminded of something that I've done every time I've ordered a custom surfboard over the last few years. It started with my first custom I ordered during my marriage. Our son was a few months old, and we were finally catching an early parent rhythm with making time for personal hobbies again. In turns, of course, as new parents do. While getting back into surfing routine, my wife, a non-surfer, mentioned that I probably deserved to treat myself to that new fish I had rambled on so much about during those first sleepless, deprived months. I quickly declared, and meant it, that she also deserved, equally, to treat herself in some similar way. I ended up gifting her whatever experience it was that she was pining for that time, and I ordered my custom fish alongside. As time has gone by, every time that I ordered a brand new board, without asking, I've equated its value in gifts or experiences for her with each next one. Perhaps some jewelry, spa packages, etc. Main parameters I set for myself were it was specifically for her and usually delivered or presented outside of an occasion as a surprise. My wife is quite the opposite of a materialistic woman, but I do notice the happiness unwarranted niceties and gestures bring. I pretend in my head as if it's the same as when Humphrey Bogart would light 2 cigarettes in his mouth and then pass one to the lady's way, while in reality I'm likely trying to strategically combat some form of guilt. I will make it clear that this practice isn't a deal that we've struck or an expectation if I mention that I'm looking for boards. I simply stay alert and I keep mental notes, and when she expresses an interest in something, and I stash those in my guilt-free board purchase list for her. Truthfully, I don't think that she's ever actually figured out the pattern quite either. But I've gotten zero flack over the years when new boards appear without notice, and the environment or the enjoyment that I witness in her and appreciation of things / experiences received her way seems more than clear enough to maintain the practice. Long story short, the tool I'd like to pass on is simply not buying yourself a board unless you've saved up enough to equate in value in something as meaningful for your to send your partner's way. If I get a treat, we get a treat. Appreciate the work, guys. Dan in SD.
Dan, fine advice. I've never even thought about that, but it is brilliant on every level, of course. And as I was listening, I was thinking, your motivation in doing something, right, usually matters a lot. Like, nobody likes somebody who's giving and you could just tell they're, whatever, their heart's not in it. Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
A cheerless giver. This one, though, doesn't matter if you're doing it purely to cover because you want a surfboard and to stay out of trouble. And so it doesn't matter why, because it's a win-win. This is like it's perfect. No matter what your reasoning, if it's to make her smile and then you're going to, get a board yourself, who cares why you're doing it? This is beautiful. Dan, you figured it out.
Genius. Totally genius. I especially like the details about not even telling her that there's any association between the two. You could apply this rule to so much of your life, which is you're going to tip the barista. You could do it when their back is turned. Mm-hmm. You don't need them to see you putting the money into the jar. You know what I mean? Like, you do it because your heart is in the act itself. And the other person is going to benefit from that tip. Your wife is going to feel cared for, thought of, appreciated because you were listening to her 3 months ago when she mentioned that she needed the spa day or whatever it is. So the purpose will still be delivered upon and appreciated by the recipient. It does not need to be explicitly stated, and you don't explicitly need to pat on the back for it.
Love it. Great advice, Dan. Thank you. Also, I guess in terms of Valentine's Day, how much better is it to give the random day gift than the expected gift, right? Rather than here is Valentine's Day, here is your, gold necklace. Where way better, out of the blue one day, comes home from work, boom, got a gift.
Look, totally agree with that and do it all the time. And I bought flowers a few days ago. As I was checking out, the lady was like, oh, these are beautiful, great choice. Like, you picked the right bouquet, whatever. And I guess you got to hide them out for a few days. I was like, what? No, these are going on the counter immediately. Like, as if I need the impact of surprise to land on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Like, and if they're for her, she deserves an extra 3 days with them, stowed away in the closet, rotting. What are you talking about, lady?
Weird Valentine's Day. Boom.
By the way, I will say, my strategy with surfboards is entirely opposite of Dan's.
Is it it's to steal something from your wife and then use that to buy a surfboard?
Pawn some jewelry. I guess it's not the exact opposite now that I think about it, but it is to presume that she won't notice one more additional surfboard. Because a pile of 21 looks awfully similar to a pile of 20.
Yeah, so true.
Just got to sneak it in without her noticing.
I think that's probably most people's, right? It's the people with a 3-board quiver are the tough ones, right? When a 4th board shows up, it's like,
Exactly. That's the problem. By the way, I was meant to play this for you at the beginning of the episode, but I forgot, but it fits in right now. For listeners who don't have a gift, it's last minute. I've got a experiential gift that you could give your wife that may actually be more meaningful. Wow. And this comes off the heels of, how when any big wave surfer wins a title, especially sets a new record, especially if it's at Nazare, we always try to undercut it by telling them that the Guinness Book has no value.
Yep.
Here's the latest Guinness Book clip that I've seen. And it was for the most kisses delivered in 30 seconds. Can you see my screen?
Sure can.
Here we go. 146 kisses I actually 156 kisses in 30 seconds delivered.
Is that a dude or a woman giving kisses?
Doesn't matter.
I mean, like, the whole thing looks like they're having a seizure. It is so bad. Doesn't it look like having a seizure?
It totally does. I don't know if it's a male or woman. Although a recipient is clearly a female. I don't know if the giver is male or female.
It looks like a weird German dude with a bowl.
Yeah.
You really can't tell. Man. Yeah. So good job, everyone. Everyone who has a Guinness book of a Guinness record for riding Nazare, congrats. That's who you're standing shoulder to shoulder with, is the guy having a seizure kissing a girl on the cheek.
But if you don't have a gift for your partner and you feel like you could beat 156, film it on Valentine's Day. She'll get 157 kisses, and then if you win a record together, boom, you're in the history books.
How many do you think what do you think your top score would be?
I'm untrained, and I'm going to say 56.
Yeah, I'm going to say it was a minute? 30
seconds.
Yeah, I'm going to say I could probably do 40. Your neck's tired.
I like to go for quality over quantity personally.
Yeah. Those for those who are listening, not watching, those kisses did not look passionate.
Anytime I'm spending intimate time with my wife, I prefer that she doesn't feel I'm having a seizure.
Man, Guinness book. Do better.
Yeah, exactly. No seizure kisses. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to commercial break, and we will come back with more thoughts on married life and surfboard collecting and barrel or not. I'm going to play you a listener call coming out of break.
David, Jazz, Christopher Jayson, long-time listener, fourth-time caller. Been married for going on 24 years in June. I have 23 surfboards and lots of other surf craft. Work.
All right, so this is clearly in response to my epiphany that surfboard collecting is the unintended result of monogamy.
Oh, I totally forgot about that. You were exactly right. You got to put it somewhere.
You can't explore your curiosity about different genres of women, so you act out with different styles of surfboards.
That is 100. I mean, yeah, I think this one is just an absolute fact. And this call is just proof of the fact.
He is just calling to confirm the fact.
24 years of marriage, 23 surfboards. Yep.
So it's almost one per year, basically.
Yep.
But the stark contrast is the dude, the Lothario, who is swiping right on Tinder every day of the week.
Has a board and maybe a broken one back in the yard.
He has one trusty thruster that he rides until it falls apart, and then he gets another one.
Yeah. Yep. Facts.
For everybody else living under the confines of monogamy, it's like, I need some new feeling, buddy. I'm going to call up Shay Soma.
Hey, Shay. That's why Shay and I are interlocking fingers.
By the way, I need a new feeling. Shay, what do those fingers feel like? Yeah. I know I'm not talking about golf, but one of the very first lessons that I've learned in my first month is that guys are so into golf because it's 4 hours away from their wives.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, that's probably already known. It didn't require me doing the act, but as I've spent time out there, that's all they talk about. They're there to vent.
Yeah. Oh, so it's like vent time. Venting about their wives?
Yeah. And
okay.
I told you previously from my first forced outing that I had the realization that these guys just wanted their nighttime vices. They wanted an opportunity to do in the morning. So it's like
smoke
on hold
cigar,
2. Yeah. Booze comes out on hold 2.
Yeah.
Cigar comes out on hole 3. And so it's like that was the original epiphany. And then my further epiphany since is not only do they want time away from the wives, they specifically want a gab fest to vent about their wives.
Do you think that golfers go home better because of it? Because of the drinking and the smoking and the venting, and then do they have they both literally and figuratively blown off steam?
they don't go home better golfers, but maybe they go home better husbands because they vented it out. I'm not sure.
I saw the other day that brand Travis Matthew, that golf brand, it always confuses me, is one of the top 10 sellers at Jack Surfboards. And that brand, every time I see somebody wearing it, I'm like, what? I feel about that brand even more for some reason than I feel about men wearing jerseys. I'm like, who is Travis Matthew and why are you like plastering his damn name all over everything?
He can't be. I don't think he's a real person, is he? It's like
it's a made up
Haagen-Dazs.
brand, Travis Matthew.
Haagen-Dazs created their name like in a boardroom because it sounded sophisticated, or whatever.
Yeah, but if it was Jack Haagen-Dazs, then you would assume it was a name.
Is Travis Matthew?
I think it's with one M. It has a weird spelling, an annoying
one
spelling.
H. One H.
Yeah.
A real person. Yes, Travis Matthew is inspired by a real person, co-founder Travis Matthew Johnson. Okay, a golfer and a designer. Okay.
Boo. Yeah. Boo, Travis Matthew people. I wanted somebody to call in who's a fan of Travis Matthew and explain the appeal.
Well, I gotta be honest. You said it's the top 10 brand at Jack's. I think Jack's only has like 11 brands. So like they've said that as if it's impressive, but there's like Quicksilver, Rip Curl. He's behind all those.
I think it was like a Shop Eat Surf story, and it was behind the paywall. And the title was top 3 selling brands at Jack's are not surf brands.
Okay.
Whoever wrote the article got the information wrong. It's that 3 of the top 10 are non-surf brands, and so then she had to write a publicly available article to explain that she got it wrong.
Gotcha. Retraction.
Yep.
We've had to.
Sorry about it.
We've had to verbally communicate a few of those.
Yep. Sure have.
Barrel or not? Wait, did I go through all my follow-ups? Yeah, I think so. Barrel or not was a listener call. I'm not going to play it for you. I'll just tell you. Bringing more than one surfboard to the beach.
This is okay. Are we talking to the beach, to the sand, or are we talking to the beach, to the parking lot?
Not everybody has the luxury of walking to the beach from their home. I'm saying in the car.
Yeah, in the car barrel.
Total barrel. I never bring less than 2.
Yeah, I mean, unless I know exactly. I mean, I'll usually bring one because I usually have a good idea what's going on. But the other day, I didn't, and I thought this could go either way here. I think it was calling it. I don't know. I use Surf Captain now. Do you ever use Surf Captain?
No.
Surf Captain ain't bad. It's like tides, and it just will give you a 3+, whatever. And I think this day was it was like 5 or 4 to 6, I think. And I was like, what does Surf Captain mean by 4 to 6? So threw in the bigger board, threw in the smaller board. Off I went.
If you're not limited for space,
Yeah.
like I'm driving to the beach by myself, I have a station wagon. I could fit 12 boards in there if I wanted to. 2's the right number for me.
Yep, exactly. But I'm going to say no more than 2. If you're bringing 3, then slow your roll, Mr. Pro. You're not that good. You just need a board for bigger and a board for smaller.
For me, it's always like a high performance board and a medium performance board, usually a fish or some alternative shortboard, and always with a dream of riding a high performance board. And yet I never ride the high performance board. The high performance board is like priority in my mind, and yet never pick that board once I look at the waves.
How long do you stare at the waves before you inevitably pick the less high performance surfboard?
1 second. I mean, literally 1 second. I just glance up. Oh, okay, cool. It's not barreling in 6 foot. Grab the fatter one.
Yeah,
which one can I stumble to my feet on and still then go after that?
Yeah.
Fatter one. Okay. Barrel or non, number 2, questionable movie choices on an airplane. A little while ago, I was on an international flight with my family and I had to pass the time. I was watching movies, as you do. I started to watch The Substance. And a little way into the movie, I got to a very graphic nude scene where Demi Moore was splitting out of her skin. At this point, I realized that my 15-year-old son had given up on watching Deadpool and was glued to my screen. Even though he couldn't hear it, getting a lesson in Demi's anatomy was clearly enough reason to watch. At the same time, my wife whacked me in the arm from the other side as if to say, "You can't be watching this now." Feeling a bit like a delinquent parent, I gave up on the movie. As I looked around the plane, though, I could see all sorts of things on other people's screens, from titties to people getting shot. Kind of tells you a bit about your fellow passengers with what they're watching. So barrel or not, watching, quote, inappropriate movies on an airplane. My take on it, this is still him, my take on it is that I assume that airplanes have vetted the movies that they show, and if they have it available, then it's fair game to watch as you please. Though, must admit, I hadn't heard much about the substance other than that it was a great movie. Had I known just how graphic it was, I would have waited until my son and wife were asleep to watch it.
So,
Chris from Manly.
Chris, thank you so much, Chris. And here we go. For one, I just have to state, I guess, the obvious. It is weird. Airplane movies used to be, if there was any nudity in an airplane movie, that was long gone, right? I mean, you didn't have the choices that you have today, but they would cut that stuff out. Now it is fair game. So we are in a brave new world. But I'm going to say it is barrel. And I'm going to say, teach your children young that the airplane cabin is a world unto itself. There is different rules there. There are different things that happen there. You can't treat airplane cabin like you do Earth. And so if son looks over and is watching Demi Moore, join in. Hey, son, want to watch Demi Moore? We're on an airplane. What happens on an airplane? Stays on an airplane.
I think 15, he's safe. I think it's okay that the 15-year-old gets to see Demi Moore's anatomy in a film as an artistic expression.
I'm going to say if the kid was 8, if the kid was getting terrified, if you're watching the scariest horror film ever, it's, hey kid, we're on an airplane. What happens on an airplane? Stays on an airplane.
The trauma and impact carries with them to Earth.
No, that's why you train them well. Like, this only is up here. This is not down there. This is here. It's a different space. Airplane is a different space. Different things. It is a weird, bizarre, the fact, even conceptually, the fact that you're hurtling through the air, traveling thousands of miles above the earth, it's already so weird. So throw all norms out the window. I mean, be respectful, be kind and polite, but in terms of what you're going to eat, what you're going to drink,
True.
smack that. I mean, how many times have you gotten on an airplane at 10 a.m. and ordered up a whiskey soda?
I get what you're saying, but none.
Really?
I mean,
you don't
I
order
drink
a cocktail. You don't order a drink on an airplane the second you get on, or the first time the drink cart comes down the aisle, no matter where you are or what time it is.
Yeah, I mean, I drink a wine. I'll drink wine on the airplane.
So at 10 a.m. though.
Sure.
Yeah, of course. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Is the airplane cabin, the rules are different there.
You know what illustrates this point, even for non-drinkers? The percentage that ginger ale gets ordered on an airplane is, from soda drinkers, it's 90%. It's like almost everybody in the sky orders a ginger ale. I've never seen a human being order a ginger ale. I've been to restaurants 10,000 times in my life, never seen a single ginger ale ordered.
That's what I'm saying. That's precisely making my point for me, that
Yeah.
what happens up there is different. And so you teach, that's the lesson you teach. So if the kid is getting traumatized or being exposed to overtly sexual things, you could just say, hey, I don't know, here you go. We don't have to talk about it, but we're on an airplane. We're flying through the air,
Hurtling through space in a metal
hurtling
tube.
through space. Who knows?
Drinking ginger ale. And look, I don't know why I took umbrage with your point. The only point was that I don't drink whiskey soda. I was like, no, that's not what I order. What are you talking about, Chaz? Like, why would I order a whiskey soda? That's not what I drink. Yes, I do drink wine at 10 a.m. if I'm in a plane.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Airplanes,
but yeah,
I'll also extend it to the airport. The airport is an extension of the airplane.
True.
So rules are different in the airport as well.
yeah. Now, I have had this exact thought as Chris and Manley, though, where nudity comes on my screen and I am like, uh-oh, like looking around me. Is there a kid behind me that can see through the seats? You do get a little, I continue watching it because of the same rationale he had, which is American Airlines allowed this, so I'm allowed to watch it.
Yeah.
Although we have seen passenger shaming videos on Instagram where people are like watching porn on an airplane on their laptop, which obviously is hugely problematic. But I still get that level of cringe a little bit when the nudity comes on the screen.
And this is, but I mean, I'm right there with you. We're only human, even when we are hurtling high 30,000 feet above the Earth's surface. But this whole rule only does extend to what the airplane is playing itself. This does not extend to your laptop. So you can't, if you were on the plane watching The Substance on your laptop, that's a no-go.
Totally. I also love how his wife whacked him.
Yeah.
That's such a wife move.
Totally. Well, wife looking over, watching the sun, watching The Substance, whack.
It's a backhand. It usually lands on your bicep or somewhere thereabouts. Yep. And it's very distinct, like from the wife, disappointment, snaps you into like, I've never understood somebody else's emotional conveyance faster than receiving that whack to the bicep.
And every response from the husband is the exact same. Sit up, turn, and do whatever it is. Nobody's like, why did you do that? I'm just watching The Substance. Mind your own business. No, I've never seen the whack responded with a like, stop that. I'm doing nothing wrong.
I get my act together instantaneously and somehow start verbalizing the thoughts that are in her head.
Yeah.
Instantly. The whack.
The whack.
Chris from Manly, I hear you. And by the way, go finish that film. That is a phenomenal film.
Margaret Qualley. Talk about her regularly on the program. One of our favorites here.
One of our favorites. Demi Moore, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Final barrel or nah. Printing out a picture of your wife's Valentine gift and putting it in her card because you waited until the last minute to order it.
No barrel. And I think, once again, that we've done a good job, I feel, today on this program of not only really helping destroy Kelly Slater's personal legacy, not only showing that Jack Johnson and Jeffrey Epstein are basically twins, but we've really done solid damage to Valentine's Day.
Good.
Once again, you don't need the day, so just give her the gift. Pretend you forgot Valentine's Day. Who cares? Give her the gift when it comes 4 days down the line. Like, Valentine's Day, goodbye, good riddance.
This is a classic move in modern era of printing out the thing, putting it in the card. But it really does negate the gift itself.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does. It's like you just save the $100 and don't get the gift because unless it's something she truly like wants and needs in her life, then of course she'll use the gift and it makes sense. But if it's just your standard jewelry, pajama, lingerie, whatever, bathrobe, don't print out the picture and put it in the card. You might as well have not gotten it at that point.
I mean, you might as well have not gotten that stuff anyway, to be quite frank. Who needs another bathrobe? Who needs any of this, any performative junk? Like, be thoughtful with your gift. Give a gift, not on the day, give a gift any day when she has been asking about something or needs something or wants something.
Totally agree. And long ago, we delivered this advice, but we haven't since, and maybe it doesn't even need to be delivered, but a handwritten everything. Mm-hmm. Handwritten card, go long. Hallmark's words are not enough. Pour your heart out. You have to.
Yep. Don't get, leave the card. Leave the card alone. Unless it's just a simple, a very simple card, right? Nobody wants a fruity, weird picture on the front and then anything inside except your own writing. I don't need a slogan.
No. Write an essay. Profess your love.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think that's it for today at this episode of The Grit. And if we aren't here next week, it's because we've been served from Jack Johnson's attorneys or Kelly Slater's or Firewires.
Or Hallmark.
Or Hallmark. Yeah, they're coming after us after this one. Put a dent into their business. But we will be over on Noble Rot on Monday.
Talking about naps. Tease the nap little drop there in the middle. So we're going to have a little bit of a further nap discussion over on Noble Rot. Exciting.
I'm going to take some advice over the course of the weekend and try to implement people's suggestions, and then I can report back on the data on Monday.
Great.
All right. Until then.
Keep warm.